and the lawyer readily agreed. Due to being harassed by Sion, Chae-sang went to the office with a sullen expression, even kneeling down and praising his boss's divorce, saying it was truly a blessing. He was slapped for that. As he was sulking, Sion came in and told King that during the upcoming interrogation of Do Isuk, a lawyer from a law firm would be present. When they arrived, it was the famous lawyer. They said they would be representing Do Isuk. The interview began, and Do Isuk refused to answer any questions, leaving them to the lawyer. Chae-sang, knowing he couldn't gather any information, went in and told her not to think that those people would help her. In the end, she was just being used. Back outside, everyone was unhappy because they couldn't get any information from the interrogation and had to release her. Chae-sang said this case was bigger than they thought, with one of the biggest law firms in Korea defending her. Later, Chae-sang found a young man wearing glasses and told him he would be working with the prosecution team on this case. The young man didn't seem happy about it because he had to work with the person who had put him in prison. After asking, Chae-sang realized that he was the one who had put the young man in jail. He remembered that in the other world, he had defended the young man and proven his innocence, but in this world, it was the opposite. He then persuaded the young man to go to a bar where lawyers and reporters often made deals late at night. He told him to steal the recording tapes there and cut them together to manipulate public opinion. News of the deal between the law firm and reporters was later shown on the news. When the chairman saw this on TV, he was furious, fearing it would affect his candidacy. He called the lawyer, telling him to settle the matter if he wanted to live a good life. Everyone had a meeting and concluded that Dun-mei had become a victim of organ trafficking because her blood type was rare. They then split up and went to the workplaces and people who had threatened Dun-mei to investigate. The team leader and the big guy went to the debt collectors who had previously threatened Dun-mei. As soon as they walked in and said a few words, the two sides started fighting. The leader ran out of his car after the ringleader flooded. He thought he was about to escape, but the car wouldn't start. It turned out that the young man had sabotaged the car from underneath. Chae-sang and Sion also went to the place where Dun-mei had previously worked. They confirmed that Dun-mei had worked at that nightclub, contrary to what her friend had said earlier. Some girls told them that the debt collectors always came looking for Dun-mei. She didn't want anything to happen to her father, so she protected him from them. She also had to go through the garbage to find food. They were both heartbroken to hear this. Back at the meeting, they gathered all the information they had collected. Sion said she believed Chairman Do Sik-jin was behind all this. She said that all the investigation targets were connected to the chairman's welfare institute. Not only that, the son of the representative of the Korean party was going to have heart surgery and needed an organ donor. So he had organized free health checkups in various locations to find a suitable match, and Dun-mei was chosen. At the same time, Chairman Do Sik-jin wanted to ensure his election victory, so he did this for the Korean party representative. When he understood the problem, Chae-sang realized that Do Isuk was a witness in this case and feared for her safety. They'd all decided to watch over her. Do Isuk was on her way home when she noticed someone following her. She tried to run but was stopped by another man. They dragged her into an alley and tried to inject her with a drug, but she bit them and kicked them before running away. She then ran into Sion's team and was rescued. The lawyer rushed to find the chairman to find out if he was behind her attack, but the chairman denied it. It turned out that Chae-sang had sent people to pretend to be attackers and scare her. When they got back to the prosecutor's office, Do Isuk, terrified for her life, begged Chae-sang for help. She revealed the people involved, including a man called Pasta Pak. She said he had approached Dun-mei's father and daughter to keep an eye on them so Dun-mei wouldn't run away. He had also wanted to buy Dun-mei's organs. Upon receiving this information, Chae-sang instructed the police to apprehend the pastor and investigate the hospital where the organ harvesting took place. Sion and Chae-sang went to the hospital to investigate the assemblyman and the doctor. She told them that she would put them both in prison, and she didn't forget to wish the assemblyman's son a terrible fate for his father killing another person. After everything was confirmed, Dun-mei's father had his surgery. The team leader told Chae-sang and Sion that Dun-mei was the one who donated her cornea to him. Sion wanted to tell him about his daughter, but he already knew the truth. Hearing his heartfelt story, Sion couldn't hold back her tears. Everyone outside couldn't help but feel uneasy. After the people involved were investigated, the chairman, fearing that his candidacy would be affected, sent people to deal with the situation. Later, Chae-seon and Sion were in the cremation room, visiting a little girl. Sion said it was her niece, and that her brother had been convicted of murder. Chae-sang was incredibly curious but didn't dare ask. Suddenly, he received a phone call informing him that the body of the assemblyman representing the party had been found. Arriving at the scene, they learned that Do Isuk had also died the previous night from a food allergy that led to suffocation. Sion immediately guessed that Deosection was responsible. Sion then went to Deosection's place and made a scene. She said he was involved in organ trafficking, and that if he became mayor, the city would become rotten. However, Deosection remained indifferent, asking if she would remain a police officer forever or become another body found. Back at the office, Chae-sang called the team leader to ask about Sion's brother. He lied, saying that he had lost a part of his memory after the accident and needed the team leader to explain the story to him. He recounted that the city wanted to rebuild its infrastructure, leading to a tense conflict between the residents and Chairman Do Sishin. The residents' protests were useless, but Sion's brother stood up and spoke out. As a result, he was targeted by Do Sishin. He was working as a doctor at a children's welfare institute. One day, Sion went to the institute and found it in ruins. She saw her brother cowering in a corner. He said Do Sishin had sent gangsters to intimidate him and told her to investigate if anything happened to him. After buying groceries and returning home, Sion encountered a man in black and fought him. He hit her on the head with a flower pot and ran away. Entering the house, she saw blood everywhere. All the children in the room were murdered. She ran out in fear, and as she did, the room exploded. Back in the present, Chae-sang was recalling these events and looking at Sion with a heartbroken expression. The morning news was reporting on a famous pharmacist named Pai Yu. As he was getting off the plane, he was greeted by Chairman Do Sichin, who seemed to be very close to him. However, Chae-sang didn't look happy to see him. Deosection continued to put on a show in front of the reporters. The scene then shifted to Chae-sang arriving at the office and meeting his subordinate. Suddenly, his body stiffened, and he started clutching his chest. In his mind, he saw an image of his real body undergoing electroconvulsive therapy. When he opened his eyes again, he was in a hospital. They said he had fainted and advised him to go home and rest. When he learned that he was in the same hospital as his subordinate, who was in an accident, he ran to his room. His subordinate's wife told him that the doctor said her husband could become a vegetable. Hearing this, Chae-sang feared that his real body might have the same problem, so he was very anxious. In another scene, a mother was standing in the rain waiting for her daughter to come home from school. The girl encountered a man in black carrying a bag with a hammer. The next day, Chae-sang and Sion had just finished meeting with a client when they received a phone call. When they arrived at the scene, they found the body of a female student. The murder method was the same as the one at the Welfare Institute years ago, so everyone thought it was the same perpetrator. After investigating the mother's house, they learned that her neighborhood was also being redeveloped to build a research facility. They didn't have anywhere else to go, so they hadn't moved out. Earlier, Chairman Do Sichin had come and said harsh words to them. Hearing this, everyone began to understand the situation. Sion recalled the case of her brother from years ago. When they were investigating Do Sichin, he had insulted her brother, making her furious. Chae-sang went to the lawyer's office and said things that surprised the lawyer. Realizing that Chae-sang was no longer easy to manipulate, the lawyer gave him a favorable employment contract. Chae-sang then thought that if he couldn't return, he would have to choose his life in this world. Back at the office, his boss was scolding everyone for not managing the crime scene well, allowing a clip of the victim's family being attacked to spread online. All suspicions fell on Sion's brother Sua because he had disappeared when the incident occurred. Sion said she believed the cases were all related to the chairman because the locations where they happened were all within the construction plan of his projects. Chae-sang was lost in thought about the lawyer's proposal when his boss turned to him and asked for his opinion. He just smiled and said he wanted to resign as a prosecutor, which surprised everyone. Sion's colleague asked about Chae-sang's decision, but Sion said she didn't know. Seeing Chae-sang's phone there, she opened it and saw the lawyer's message confirming the contract with Chae-sang. After talking to his boss, he decided to let Chae-sang go, but only after he solved this case.